Hi, Brad Tonini here for New Selling, the program. It's all about how do we move forward with sales, get the sales machine cranked up. You know, one of the things that I often think about is the fact that salespeople right now are posting like crazy. Let's face it, you go to Facebook or LinkedIn, there's tons of stuff out there, but is it meaningful? We've got to be prolific, but also provocative. And this is the person I want to talk to about this, about whether your clients are hearing what you're saying. Chad Barr, a great friend of mine, a mentor to me, someone who put together a beautiful website for me, but also someone who helps me to develop great intellectual property, models, process visuals, and he knows all about provocative, prolific. He runs a business in Cleveland, the USA. Chad Barr, welcome.
Great to be here with you, Brad, and great to have everyone hopefully listening and watching and hopefully get some great value from today's conversation.
Well, you've been wonderful for me. I've got to tell you, you've helped me to develop some great models. You've helped me to develop the trusted advisor selling methodology, put it together in a process. I'm a big rat for what you do simply because I think you add value to salespeople in terms of promoting their ideas, their view of the world, their IP. Is that really what you're trying to do with your dynamics of the communities and the way that you show people how to build digital, digital worlds?
You know, I observe some of the top most successful thought leaders out there in many areas of strategy, areas of sales. And what became obvious to me years ago as I was researching that the most successful individuals out there are prolific publishers in creating remarkable content all the time. Yet those who strive to or aspire to become more of a thought leader or more as an expert are struggling with how to take these ideas out of here and manifest it effectively in a variety of formats. The variety of formats could be tweets, could be articles, could be podcasts, could be videos, could be online courses. So my challenge to everyone is, are you taking what's sitting right here between your ears and put it out there, not only effectively, but provocatively so people pay attention? And I create a process that I demonstrate for my clients oftentimes how to take this stuff out of here and provocatively put it out there.
This is a really interesting point today because I think there'll be some people watching this in my world, Chad, and I mentioned to you that obviously there are thousands of people in the sales profession with me and sales leaders, sales managers, and they're saying to themselves, well, this is all fine. You know, I'm not a consultant. I'm not a person who's writing books out there, but you and I both share the opinion that this is not about that. It's about actually how we put our ideas out there, even as salespeople and sales managers.
That's exactly right. And it's simpler than ever. People oftentimes have this burden, properly mindset-wise, that they're not sure how to do so. But if they position themselves with their own intellectual property in such a way that gets noticed, immediately it separates them from the others, because otherwise they sound just like everyone else. So how do we make those salespeople, how do we make them sound like experts, that they know what they're talking about? So when people listen to them, they don't say, so what, I heard it before, but they say, wow, I need to listen. I never thought about it this way. I need to listen to this person further. The key is taking this content out there and manifest it effectively and provocatively so people pay attention to your words, to your messages.
I think that's the difference between a salesperson and a trusted advisor, Chad. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is be that authority, be the person who people gravitate towards, and we get trusted introductions and referrals by that, which means the cost of acquisition of a new client reduces. So, you know, this is really important. It's fundamental to position yourself as being top 20% in an industry. What do you find is the stumbling point in people taking it from there and putting it on paper? What's the thing that gets in the way?
Number one, having a process of how to do so. And how about if I share with you in a couple of seconds here, just a quick process, how to create this. And probably the other thing is mindset, just to say, I can do it. And then the third thing that I'm a firm believer in is taking action. You've got to say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take action, and I'm going to start creating powerful content and share it with my target audience. So I want to demonstrate something very quickly, just so people can see how easy it is. So I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions here. And obviously, you're a sales expert. So the analogy here for other sales experts to think about how can they create similar content to what we're about to create together. So if I were to ask you, what is one of the challenges? And I'll take some notes so I don't have to rely on my memory, and I'll demonstrate how we can create a pithy, powerful, provocative piece of content.
Wow,
So if I were
that
to
sounds
ask you,
fantastic. Let's do that.
Very good. So if I were to ask you, Brad, what's one of the challenges among many, but let's pick out one that your clients are struggling with? What is one that comes to mind?
Oh, I would say hands down, the inability or not knowing how to ask for referrals and trusted introductions.
So how to ask for a referral? We'll pick that out. We'll pick that as the first one,
Absolutely.
right?
Getting referrals.
Great.
Absolutely.
So if I came to you and I say, Brad, I heard the world of you. You came highly recommended. I saw your website. I read your content. And I have to tell you, as an owner of my business, I believe that we're absolutely struggling with referrals. We're not sure how to effectively gain them. We're not sure how to solicit them. And you probably have a lot of insight you could share with me. Let's pick out just the top three. If you were to say to me, Chad, if you were to do these top three right now, you will absolutely be on your way to master referrals. What are the top three that come to mind?
Well, the first one is as you mentioned before, mindset. I think you've got to have the mindset to look for referrals. A lot of people I deal with, Chad, they just haven't got the brain positioned to think about getting referrals. So number one is mindset. Number two would be process. In other words, their ability to be able to think about how they nurture a lead and create a process around that to be able to get that lead. And probably number three, to me, would be finding the right language to ask the question. In other words, feeling like you've got the language right so it doesn't come across as clunky.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. So let me demonstrate this. This is perfect. So thank you for that. Let me demonstrate quickly how we can take what you just shared with me and turn it into a powerful, pithy, provocative piece of content. I think there are 4 P's there, I just realized.
That was pretty good.
So anyway, and by the way, who's the target audience we are speaking to in your business?
Oh, this is going to be a salesperson going out to talk to a prospective client or a client in terms of asking them for an introduction.
Great. So I'm going to pretend to be you for a brief moment, taking the information you share with me. Again, I'm not a content expert in your area of expertise. I just created a simple process of how to pull, and notice it just took me about a minute and a half to pull powerful piece of content from you, but just asking the question, what's a challenge your clients are facing? And what are 3 ways? And now you could take another challenge and come up with 3 or 4 or 5 other ways, right? But we're just going to focus on this and demonstrate how do we create this powerful piece of content. So here we go. So I'm going to become Brad for a brief moment. Perhaps I'm creating a piece of content being a video right now, so I'll kind of look at my notes and look at the video camera, but here it is. I've been fortunate to work with some of the most amazing, successful companies out there. Yet in the initial discussion, when I first meet them, it becomes obvious that one of the key issues that they struggle with, it's all around the issue of referrals. Referrals, the key things that holds them back from taking this exponential growth in their business. So if this is a challenge that you, your organization, are facing today, being referral, there are quite a lot of insights I can share with you how to overcome this challenge. Today, I'm going to share with you the top 3 that I recommend you consider doing. Number 1, it's all about mindset, because if you don't change your mindset, that it is possible to effectively solicit referrals, you will never get there. So number 1, I recommend for you to think about what do you need to do for you and your team to make sure that your mindset is on the right track to solicit referrals. Number 2, it's all about creating the process. What is the process of asking for referrals, and how do we get them? How do we gain those referrals to come to us? And finally, what is the proper language that we should consider using in order to make sure that it doesn't come like a burden, but people love to share those referrals with us? So this is the challenge that your organization are facing today. I highly recommend that you consider doing those 3 steps I just shared with you. So your organization is not just barely surviving, but actually thriving. If this resonates with you, give me a call or send me an email, because some of the best relationships I've created over the years have started with a simple conversation, just like this one. Thank you, thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So
I've got so many questions to ask you, but I'll let you comment first.
I want to show you one more thing. So I'm going to draw something on a piece of paper here, just to show people who are watching and listening to this, how powerful it is to take this piece of content. And now it makes you stand up in the crowd, because you're telling someone, a prospective client, referrals is the key things we need to focus on. And here are the 3 things we need to consider. So I'm going to create a simple, what's called a Venn diagram. So here it is. It will take me 2 seconds to just draw it here. The first thing you said was mindset. The second thing was process. And the third thing is language. So here's what we created here very quickly. A simple Venn diagram.
Yep, got it.
Right? 3 circles: mindset, process, language. Now, this becomes a powerful diagnostic tool when you sit with a prospective client, because you can say to them, you know, what I've come to realize that most of my clients the first challenge they're facing is oftentimes around referrals. Now, how do we master referrals? It boils down to mindset, process, and language. And then what we also find out that most organizations may have the right mindset, they may have the right process, but they don't have the right language. This is what we call them. We can call number one syndrome number one, whatever label we come up with. Second is when they have the process in the language, but they don't have the right mindset. So we need to come up with a label for that. Finally, they may have the mindset and the language, but they don't have the right process. When they work with Tonini, that's number 4, because we help them put all the 3 together. By the way, Mr. Prospect, I'm just curious, where would you say you are today? Would you say that you have mastered all of them on a scale of 1 to 5? Where would you say your mindset is on a scale of 1 to 5? Where's the process on a scale of 1 to 5 language? With our help, whatever you rank yourself, let's say you rank yourself a 3, we'll start moving towards a 4 or a 5. If you're a 5, we're going to make sure that you stay there. If you're a 1, we want to make there. That's how powerful a visual is to become a diagnostic tool in conversation like that.
Wow, I've got so many questions. Can we unpack that for a bit?
Absolutely, let's go.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to mention to you was that in the scripting that you came up with, I noticed that you talked about it being third party, what clients are telling you. Now that's a really important point, isn't it? Rather than you saying what you believe.
That's exactly right. Now, by the way, if we're unpacking it, by the way, I'm just looking out my window and I see there's a thunderstorm coming to Cleveland, Ohio. So hopefully there's not going to be any interruption of power here. But anyway, but it's going to add some more drama to our call today. Let's unpack it. Number 1, I used what I call a case study format. A case study, typically, when we think about a case study has 3 components: the challenge, the solution or the how-to, and the final part is the outcome, the results. Sometimes I change the outcome and result to a call to action. What action they're going to take. So the first thing in unpacking it, what's the challenge they're facing? Because if I were to just come up and say, you know, this is my opinion, of course it's my opinion, but if I state what the challenge is or one of the challenges my clients are facing, that's a fact, right? And that's my observation, that's my opinion from talking to my clients or prospective clients that I acknowledge the challenge. The second part, how do we then overcome the challenge? I just used 3 steps in the example. It could be 5 steps, it could be 9 steps, it could be 14 steps, whatever is the number of steps. And by the way, I encourage your watcher and the listener to this session we're doing today to constantly challenge themselves to come up with more steps. So if let's say today we're coming up with 3 of them, why not tomorrow come up with 4 or 5? My writing over the years have always challenged my own thinking to come up with more and more points. It's an amazing process that allows us to think more. So anyway,
now just on that, Chad, the reason why you're doing that is because you're giving people 3, and of course they're thinking to themselves, wow, there's a deep well of information, a deep well of knowledge that Chad has at this point. I need to book him. I need to get him involved in my business. That's the reason why you want to develop a lot more than 3.
That's right. And it positions us as an expert in our area. The other thing is, I want to make sure that when the content that we create, whoever is listening to this content or watching it or reading it, I do not want their reaction to be, so what? I heard this before. I wanted to say somewhere between, that's interesting, I need to pay more attention, or hopefully, wow, I never thought about it this way. I need to listen more to this person. And hopefully by listening more, they say, that's the guy I needed. I need to contact them. I need to send them an email or call them because that's the expert I need to help me take my organization to the next level. So again, what's separating one salesperson to another is not just the ability to become a great salesperson. It's to share that wisdom that you have sitting here and unpack it in different format, whether it's a visual like just demonstrated or just speaking that through in an effective way that intrigues someone to say, I need to contact you.
You know from working on my site and doing some work with me over the years that I'm very big on process visuals, and you've
Mhm.
actually helped to bring them to life for me, which has been fantastic. And your ability to put one on one, you know, and put it together in a diagram, off we go, is just fantastic. Now, when you did the Venn diagram, would you be recommending to people that if they were sitting face to face with a prospect, they would literally get a piece of paper and a pen and draw it in front of them rather than ever having that pre-prepared?
Yes, I mean, if as long as their memory is up to capacity and they can remember, so they don't start to draw and say, "Oh my God, I forgot what goes." So as long as they remember, and again, they have to rehearse it. It's very, very powerful to sit there with a prospect and say, "You know, what you just shared with me, I just want to draw something that I believe is the answer to that challenge. Let me just draw it quickly," and then I use that Venn diagram as the example. Now, I did it in the segment. I could just as easily do this as well, which becomes very, very powerful. And what I just drew here are those lines on a scale of 1 to 5, right? Because that creates a profile of the prospect when they say, I think I'm a 3. I think I'm a 4 here, but I think I'm a 1 here. Well, that's exactly why I believe you need me, because with my help, we'll move you from a 3 to a 4. We'll move you from a 4 to a 5. We'll move you to a 1 to a 2, and then systematically we'll move it. Those visuals are so powerful. And again, just to walk my talk, um, because I'm such a firm believer, about less than a year ago, I published my own book, Transformation Visual. So I call it, which by the way has been trademarked. So that's my own trademark to Transformation Visual. And I've taken each one of those visual and had my team just come up with some amazing things. So here's an example. How do we dominate the web? There's 6 ways to dominate the web: strategizing, marketing, branding, publishing, socializing, and monetizing. Again, we're not going to get sidetracked on that, but each one of my articles in this book has the visual attached with an article. If I go to another one as an example, very quickly, the 5 steps here. So again, if I don't count on my memory, I may come up with 2 or 3 visuals with me, maybe not the entire book, but this is an example where we can manifest our intellectual property, the things we create over time, first on a piece of paper, and then possibly not only publish it on our website, but then maybe create an ebook and then send it to our prospective clients, which I believe will strengthen the image of us in their eyes as an expert, as a thought leader, as a sales leader, and that's what I believe we want.
So one of the things that's crossing my mind as you're talking is I'm thinking to myself, some salespeople will say, well, how does that apply to me as a salesperson in terms of what would go into those Venn diagrams? If we look at it for a second and say that, okay, I'm a person who sells agricultural equipment. I sell tractors and things. So what we have to think about is what are the challenges for that farmer, if you like, in terms of that buyer, what they currently have as challenges in terms of using that sort of equipment. Is that the right way we go about it?
Yeah, so number one, if I hear what I think you're asking me, they need to understand, the salespeople we are talking to, need to realize what are the key challenges that their clients, their prospective clients, are struggling with. And why not come up with ways to overcome those challenges by sharing their opinions? It could be a simple article or a paragraph or two. It could be an involved articles of maybe a page or two. But why not share the wisdom that they've collected over the years of how to resolve the challenges that their clients are facing? There's one more thing that I find to be very effective in my business, and I want to share with you. I coined that concept, targeted value. And what I mean by targeted value, every week I think about a prospective client of mine or clients of mine that have shared with me some kind of a struggle that they're struggling with. And what I do through targeted value, so let's say if I know, let's say as an example, Brad, that one of the challenges that you are facing is all about referrals. I will send you an email, and the email will state something like this: Dear Brad, I was reflecting over a conversation the other day, the other week, the other month, whenever we have that conversation. And I've come to realize that during the conversation you share with me, one of the key challenges that you're facing, it's all about referrals. It attaches an article with a visual that I've created with you in mind that addresses 3 ways or 5 ways or 12 ways of how to make sure that if you implement the step I'm sharing in this article, you will have more referrals than you can ever dream about. How about Thursday at 10? I would love to get your feedback on this article I'm sending you, or this podcast, or this video. How about Thursday at 10 to get your feedback? And I have two other ideas I have to share with you.
Oh, I love that. That is fantastic. So targeted, but you're also just laying on the value, and it doesn't become ever a price conversation, does it?
That's right. And I'm not selling, giving, offering value, and the magic happens during those calls, because not only do I share ideas of how to help their business grow, but oftentimes they always wait for those two other ideas that I have from them. And I'm always prepared with at least two or three other ideas I want to share with them during the call. And the magic usually happens. It may be that they say, thank you, Chad. This was amazing. We'll talk some other time in the future. Say, by the way, since we just talked, can you help me implement a better system to handle referrals? Would love to do that. Let's talk about how we can do that. So again, out of a place of serving, out of a place of giving, not out of a place of selling, because we're here to serve, we're here to help their business. And when we take that mindset that we share, what better way can we help others by sharing with them our opinion and things that you and I are talking about today? Those articles, those visuals, special quotes that we can create that will help them take themselves to the next level.
And you would be just so much value in you and I catching up today, simply because you're talking about something that I'm really a firm believer in, and that we're at your service. And this is a big part of where we are in sales right now, is we need to get over ourselves and not worry about the quick sale and the quick close. It's about developing relationships and being of service. Now, what I just heard from you was a wonderful case study script. I love the Venn diagram, and I love the targeted value. I've got a couple of quick questions to finish up with today. One is around prolific and provocative content. So people are posting out on LinkedIn. I can see a lot of it out there right now, a lot of traffic. What would you be recommending to people in sales if they are posting out into these social media to be able to get people to pay attention to what they're talking about? Apart from the case study method, what sort of things do they need to be thinking about from a mindset when they write that piece and post it?
Great question. So oftentimes the topic, the title, the headline is either going to grab attention or it's not going to grab attention. So if we're going to come up, let me just think here about how to improve referral in your business. That's okay. But 7 ways to implement referrals today to get more referrals that you can ever dream are possible. Something along those lines. I can also take it from a negative title perspective, which oftentimes I'm not suggesting doing it every single time, but negative titles do grab attention. Unless you implemented the 7 referrals, you're risking being in business next year. Something along those lines so number one, I highly suggest that people give thoughts to how powerful, how provocative their topic, their headline is, and make sure it's punchy. It's, as I said, 7 ways to grow your referral beyond what you ever think is even possible, something along the lines. And make sure that the substantiation, the ideas that are powerful, pithy, provocative, that people say, wow, I never thought about it this way. Now, by the way, and we haven't talked about it today, examples, stories are always very powerful. So just in one of the points, let's say you share with me that one of the things was process. You can say, let me just give you an example. I was just talking to Mary the other day when she shared with me, when she gave me a call, hysterical, that her business is not doing too well because she realized she does not have the right process. Immediately, we engage in the conversation that shows her, and here's, by the way, a quick process or a quick script how to create this powerful process. So examples, stories are always very powerful way to get our message across and to get people engaged with our content emotionally as well, not just intellectually, but also emotionally.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. I could talk to you all day. And sometimes we do talk for a while because it's some great ideas that we come up with, but you've been a wonderful resource to my business, and certainly a person who I just love chatting with you about the idea of bringing intellectual property to the fore. Let me please give you something. How do we get in contact with you if there's someone in my trusted advisor selling world wants to have a conversation, or to get something that you've got currently on in your shopping cart, or to talk about potentially doing a website with you, or doing a piece of intellectual property with you? How do we get in contact with you?
I would be honored. So, number one, the simplest way to find me is on the web. My blog is just chadbarr.com, CHADBARR.com. Our website is the chadbargroup.com, which is me and my team. So, again, the THE chadbargroup.com. My blog is chadbarr.com. That's probably the easiest way, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, so people can find me there as well. But probably going through the website will be the easiest thing. And those of your listener or viewers who are watching this, if they just shoot me an email, Chad, CHAD, at thechadbargroup.com, and mention this conversation with Brett Tonini, I'll send them a PDF version of the book I just shared with you, this
Oh,
one. So
wow.
they have
That's
this book
fantastic.
digitally. It will be my honor to share the gift with them.
Wow. Thank you so much, Chad. And I love your byline, raising the bar. I think that's fantastic.
And by the way, when people come up with those taglines for a separate discussion sometime in the future, they should consider trademarking it. That's a way for them to protect their own intellectual property. But thank you for helping all of us raise the bar today.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Chad. Talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Brad.